I mean, just not to give up the days that you feel like giving up. There's nothing. I think any litigator is going to be competitive. We want to win.
Oh, yeah, there's that part. Yeah.
That's why we go into it. And you don't always win. You can be the best attorney in the world, and for whatever reason, you don't win. So, there's some times where you have a loss and you just feel like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. So just being told, just hang in there, and there's ups and downs.
Wait, you have that feeling too?
Absolutely. We all do.
We just do. To this episode of Small Business Success Talk. I am your host, Christy Smallwood, and as usual, I am super excited that you're here. If you haven't heard me say it by now, then I'm going to tell you again like a soap opera. I love doing these episodes because I ultimately get so much out of them. And I'm hoping that you do as well. Please comment. Tell me what you experience with this particular episode, because today I have an attorney on the show, and she's going to give us some key insights as to why you really do need to have an attorney on your side when you are in business. It's plain and simple. But we don't really think ahead of time that it's that plain and simple until we're in trouble with something, or we're trying to accomplish something. We need to have an attorney. So there's a lot of nuances here, but I'm thrilled to have her on as my guest, and you get to hear about the story. I love their firm. I love everything that they stand for. I've got to tour their offices. It's beautiful. They're great. They have been they're still, I would say, coming out of the startup phase. But to be able to talk to an attorney who has gone through a startup phase as a business owner and an entrepreneur is a really interesting conversation, because there's a lot of industries out there we don't tend to immediately think of when we think of business owner. We just think, they're attorneys, or they're bookkeepers, or they're accountants, or whatever. We don't immediately go to them as business owners, as the label of business owners, but yet here they are running the business, and some of their challenges are our challenges. So I was really happy, and I want to present to you my friend Libby Gray with Gray Ice Higdon. Libby, thank you so much for being my guest on this episode.
You're welcome. I'm so excited.
I'm also glad that you're local so that you get to come to the home studio.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
one would never think in a nice neighborhood that you come in and here's a whole podcast studio.
Here we are.
Yeah, very cool.
So I know a little bit about your background and stuff, but tell me about this origin story to Gray Ice Higdon.
Sure. So there were about 55 attorneys who worked at a firm called Middleton Reitlinger, and it was one of the oldest firms, if not the oldest firm in Louisville. About 30 of us in November of 2022 decided we wanted to start a new firm, and left, and over a weekend, very busy weekend, came up with the plans to form Gray Ice.
I didn't realize you did that like in a weekend.
We did. It took maybe a week to come up with the name and some of the other details, but the decision was made from a Thursday to a Saturday.
Wow. Yeah. That's fantastic. Okay, tell me more about your origin story.
Sure. So I grew up in Minnesota, started college at DePaul University in Indiana, lasted a year. It wasn't quite the right fit for me. Then I took about 3 years off in a gap year before gap years were a thing.
You trendsetter, you.
Well, kind of fell into it. So I spent a year living in Mexico, and that was really transformative to my life in general.
Wow.
Very cool. And then when I was in Mexico, I went down to Guatemala for just kind of a vacation to check it out. And at that that time, friendship bracelets were really popular. So this is 89. And I really liked the band, the Grateful Dead, at that point. And I used all my savings and I bought duffel bags of friendship bracelets and spent the next year following the Dead selling my bracelets.
That is fantastic.
Probably not what you expected from a corporate lawyer.
No, not at all.
So my $2,000 of bracelets basically funded a year of kind of starting an entrepreneurship journey, I guess.
Yes.
Different level, a lot of adventure, met some great people. And then spent a year at community college in Minneapolis, nannying during the day the next year, and then transferred to University of Oregon and got my undergrad there.
Wow, you have been all over the map here.
And I then I graduated with a degree in Spanish. I had changed what was originally going in for business, but after living in Mexico, changed that. I was going to go into social work. And after a year or so trying to find the perfect job, decided maybe I needed to keep looking and applied to law school. Started at Golden Gate University in San Francisco, spent a year there, transferred to Vanderbilt in Nashville, came up to Louisville between my second and third year of law school for an internship, and kind of the rest is history.
And we sucked you in, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, it's a great place to live. Had no connections, no family here, but just really fell in love with that firm and the city, and met some great people. Eventually met my husband 3 years later, who is a Louisville native, and so just never looked back.
Well, look at you. I had no idea all that was in there.
There it is.
That is fantastic. Like you Grateful Dead follower.
Well, I'm actually going to see him at the Sphere in 2 weeks. So should be fun.
That's exciting.
Back to those roots. Yeah. So every once in a while, I let that part of me come out.
Well, but it's also your entrepreneur side that's coming out now. Like in this whole transition into, you guys now have your own firm. Your name is on the firm.
It is.
Yes.
It is. I'm really honored that it's the first name, and there was truly no better honor for my partners when we chose the name and came up with the structure.
Well, it sounds really good.
Well, thank you. There's a little bit of that too. That is just an easy to spell, easy to say last name.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so tell me about, because I don't have attorneys on here very often because you guys have a lot of restrictions on what you can advertise, what you can say whenever you show, there's a lot of rules to follow. But tell me what you guys specialize in.
Sure. So we're pretty focused as a commercial law firm. We primarily do 3 areas of law. The first and biggest is IP. We are the law firm, certainly in the state, I would say the region, for patent, trademark, and copyright work. We now have 37 attorneys and 17 are patent lawyers.
Oh, wow.
Is extremely high. We have just the whole gamut of type of patent lawyers. This was something I didn't realize.
There's
working in a firm. Absolutely. It all matters on what your background is, what type of niches, engineers.
Niches for patent attorneys.
Absolutely. So we have, for instance, we have a PhD, Megan Gibson, in microbiology. And so she's a licensed patent attorney. And so she handles things in the medical world, things like that. We have a lot of computer software engineers, and they're doing some amazing things with a lot of AI patents these days. We have just really patent attorneys to fit any corporate need. 5 trademark and copyright attorneys. Then we have about 10 commercial litigators. That's what I do. So we take anything that our corporate clients need, either as a plaintiff or a defendant. It's not all defense work by any means, about 50-50. Typically the cases we take are business against business.
Gotcha.
So it's not any kind of personal injury. A lot of things, like I just finished a federal court trial in March. It was trade secret misappropriation, tortious interference, breach of contract, that kind of thing. So business to business. And then the third area of law that we do is transactional. So if a new business needs to be, from the very beginning needs to be set up to decide what kind of corporate form to use, strategically what kind of contracts to have, if they're going to acquire or be acquired, what you need to do for that. So they do just kind of a business attorney to keep everything.
Well, whenever you start a new business, some of the advice that you're given is make sure you have a bookkeeper, accountant, and attorney.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's good advice.
Big three. I would also add business coach to that. Because you need that help, because unless you are an attorney, you don't know anything about anything when it comes to doing your contracts.
Right.
Like, how do you even formulate a contract? Agreements of any kind, like employee agreements and your scope of works with the agreements and contracts and things. Like, there's so many just pieces of paper that need to be handled.
And I will follow up on that. What I do in commercial litigation, really, if someone's contacting me, something's gone wrong. Either they've been wronged or they're being accused of doing something wrong. And there is a very high percentage of my cases that had the business consulted an attorney at the begining and done it right, we would never be there. And it's frustrating and hard to see that for my clients, because something, a $2,000 business, having the assistance of a business attorney setting you up properly could save $100,000 of litigation fees. So I really do see that in play. And it's, I'm seeing more and more clients pull contracts off the internet. And that's the reality. And I certainly understand from a new business, you're trying to keep whatever cost you can as low as possible. But so often that leads to some really bad results.
Yes. Now, I think I've been pretty fortunate in my own area, but I know even my stuff can all get tightened up because things change over time also.
That's right.
Like the state rules, federal rules, like things change out there. And unless we're just like building a website, stuff will break.
Yes.
And you got to go maintenance that.
Yep.
And I would think having some sort of a maintenance plan with an attorney is also a good idea.
Yeah. It's just always good to have one on speed dial who understands your business. So when you have a question, it can be, can hopefully be a really quick, we bill in 0.1 6-minute increments, but hopefully it can be just a quick conversation and they understand what you're trying to do and what the laws are. And so it could be a good investment.
How has AI affected your business?
Well, I think we're still waiting to see how it does affect it.
So nobody, like, the reason why I'm asking, because you've mentioned that people go pull stuff off the internet. Well, can I just ask AI to do it for me?
You could, but AI is not always right. There's kind of a folklore right now, but it's a real story of an attorney who used AI to write a brief.
Oh, no.
He submitted, it doesn't end well. He submitted it. It contained not just cases that weren't on point, but cases that were completely made up. The court, as it should do, tried to read those cases, couldn't find them, asked for copies, and this particular attorney, I think it was in New York, doubled down. Anyway, ended up in all kinds of sanctions and things like that. It just isn't always accurate. And I'm not by any means an expert in AI, but from what I understand, it pulls from the data that's in the system.
Yes.
So its accuracy is only as good as the data that's gone in. One example I see of, I personally handle a lot of non-competes and restrictive covenants. A lot of my cases come from those. And you mentioned things can change by state. That is so state specific. For instance, the way Kentucky enforces non-competes, totally different from Indiana, totally different than a state like California or Colorado or Minnesota.
Oh, wow.
And so, I don't think that AI would necessarily know those nuances. You might find a great non-compete that'd be enforceable in Indiana, but not Kentucky, or vice versa.
So is that a real high percentage of a thing is the non-competes? Or do you find that people just kind of breeze over those?
I mean, Kentucky does enforce non-competes, and I do both sides of it, where I try to enforce them and also defend them. So I talk out both sides of my mouth a little bit. But Kentucky absolutely does enforce them. Unfortunately, people do gloss over them. They're often given to someone their first day of work, and they're excited, and they sign all their papers, and they don't really understand what the non-compete will require them to do. And, there's been some really hard stories after that. I just had a family friend recently asked me to look at her 21-year-old daughter's summer internship in New York, and she was so excited about it. The original contract, we got it changed, but was going to have a 2-year non-compete where this student couldn't work in her industry, her chosen industry, over a summer internship. So she was smart to have someone look at it.
Yeah.
Had she signed her life away, I mean, what an impact that would be for a young, soon-to-be senior in college, not being able to work in their chosen field, a really broad field. So
that seems ridiculous.
It seems ridiculous, but courts can enforce them under the right circumstances. So that's just one example of an area that we see a lot of people think they know what they're doing, but it can have some really bad consequences.
Gosh,
scary stuff.
I'm just still over here like, what?
Yeah.
Why would you even do that to an intern? They're just an intern.
I know.
It's not like they're going to come after your company and take it over as soon as they're out of college. Like, that's just not how that works.
That's right.
Okay, so whoever that owner of that business is, I'm sure I could help them lighten up.
Yeah.
That's wild. Okay, so you guys do a lot of things, and it's super helpful for the business. But what is the thing that jazzes you the most about what your business does, what you do?
I really love about my job, I work with so many different industries, and I really enjoy getting to know different industries, different companies. I mean, for me, that's just, it kind of keeps me going every day. Every case is so different. Obviously, I love helping my clients too, and I feel like, I've had some bet the company type cases where a small business, the outcome of the litigation could be determinative of what happens to their business.
Yeah.
Especially small businesses it could be one little thing that goes wrong can send it down a bad path. So that's really, really rewarding for me when I help my clients. And it's not always winning in court. Also, sometimes it's just seeing what a path might look like going a different way, or knowing when to resolve a case, and to try to do it on terms that will allow the business to survive and thrive.
Yeah, I had some friends, and this was pre-pandemic, that had some issues. They had went into a buyout of another business, and within that agreement, it was a matter of, if you can't make this balloon payment, contact us within so many days, we'll make adjustments. Like that was in the agreement.
Sure.
So they called to make the adjustments, and the guy wouldn't even talk to them. And then the deadline expired.
Oh no.
And he came and took back all of the stuff, and they had been in litigation for that for the rest of but then the pandemic hit, and it just, between that and the pandemic, their business was done.
Yeah, that's very sad.
Yeah, it is very sad. It's very frustrating, because the financial consequences, aftermath, the financial chaos of all of that is still ongoing. And that's been how many years ago now?
Sure.
And it can be a twisted quagmire of things.
Sure.
If we're not careful on the front end.
Well, and you make a great point about contracts. It is so important for any size business to know the contracts that you have entered into, and to know, because I've had that happen to clients as well. And I had a big fast food restaurant once miss their deadline to re-up their lease, and the landlord wanted their business for another reason, and silently let it go by, and they lost their business. So this is a big everyone, fast food restaurant, everyone would know. So it's really, really important to have tight controls over what your contracts say, what any deadlines are, what any requirements are, and to stay on top of those.
So what would somebody like me do if there's a bunch of contracts and stuff floating around? How do I keep track of that? Like, how do I pay attention to the details, even with your help? Like, I go home and it's onto my business now.
Sure.
How do I manage it?
What I've seen work well for a lot of clients is just to have a single Excel sheet, kind of a contract tracker that has all the pertinent information in one place, kind of what the contract is, what the start date is, what the end date is, what any renewal dates are, what state law applies, all those, anything you might need to know, who the notice goes to, how it goes. Sometimes, you mentioned with that example that they tried contacting whoever the entity was about the deadline. There are times where your contracts say it has to be done by certified mail. And so if you call or you email, that's not going to be proper notice. So those are details, all those details matter. So I think that's the best way to do it, just on sort of one contract tracker.
Okay.
And keep, the calendar, the dates.
I love my Google Calendar. It alerts me.
And, 1 month, 2 weeks, 1 week, lots of reminders. So nothing is missed.
Yeah, because even we all have shiny object syndrome to some degree. And every once in a while I'll get some fancy little software piece. And I've done that. And I was like, ooh, I can save so much because I'm doing the annual thing. And then I forget. And then that, the big chunk comes out of I was like, what is this for? Because I never used the software that I thought was so cool. We've run into that a lot in business. So what are some things that you've gone through the challenges that you've had with this whole new business?
Initially it was just who's going to come with us, employee wise and also client wise.
Sure.
That's what
book of business
the business is, and we were really fortunate. I think we kept all clients, and everyone who was part of the group came and flourished. So that was challenging. The other part is just we were a startup, just like any other startup. Needed to find a place to do our work, needed to buy phones, needed to have health insurance, malpractice insurance, all those details, which are a lot. And, I think when you work at a business, you don't realize all that goes into the business. So that was eye-opening for all of us. We were so fortunate, though. There were 15 partners, owner partners, principal partners, what we call them at the time. And we literally just divided. We were meeting in people's living rooms because we had no office, and we just divided and conquered. And everyone had their role. Everyone did it flawlessly. And then that was a huge, huge help. So
that is fantastic.
I just want to take a minute to thank the sponsor of our show, 502 Hemp in Louisville and 812 Hemp in Clarksville, Indiana. If you are looking for quality legal cannabis products, they are definitely your source. If you have questions of what would work best for you, their educated staff can help you choose the best product for your needs, like they did with me. I was having some real issues. One, my hormones were raging and I was raging all the time, just not in a very good place. And when I went into the store and I expressed everything that was going on, they asked additional questions that helped them get me to a solution. And the solution meaning better sleep at night, my inflammation's lower. I have been able to just be a better quality of life with my whole mental attitude because these things work great. My preference is the Maria products. That is a special blend that 502 Hemp owners have created themselves. And I use the Ultra Spectrum CBD gummies, the blood orange. It's 1,000 milligrams. Like, this is the potent stuff, like, meaning it's the highest milligrams I can get. And I need that for what my system needs. You may not need that much. They also have oils And so I love the full spectrum here as well. But they have ranges, and according to what you're looking for to help in your body, they can help guide you in that way. So check them out at either 502hemp.com or 812hemp.com. Or if you're driving by, stop in one of the stores and they will absolutely be able to help you out. There's no need to wait for a medical dispensary to open. They have safe, reliable products now. And if you stop in a store, tell them Christy sent you, they'll give you 15% off. And not only that, but if you order online, 502hemp.com or 812hemp.com, and you put in that discount code of success, you'll also get 15% off. So check them out today. And I very much appreciate them being a sponsor of Small Business Success Talk. Welcome to another segment of Book Club with Small Business Success Talk. I share with you books that have impacted me first. And so as we move this segment along, you'll see more additions. And as the page gets built, you'll see all the additions to all of the books. But during this segment, I like to share with you what has impacted me a lot over the years out of my own library. And so this one today is Brass Tacks Entrepreneur by Jim Shell. Okay. First and foremost, this is from 1993. Now, why would I even refer to a book from 1993? Because the timeless wisdom we find in those older books is still extremely valuable to today. Some of the stuff that happens as I'm reading through what might be an older book, terminology might seem older, out of date, that kind of stuff, but the principles remain the same. And this book, Brass Tacks Entrepreneur, solid foundation for building a business and understanding how to show up as an entrepreneur. Jim is no stranger to this, built his own businesses over the years. And at the ripe old age of 88, he's finally deciding to semi-retire. As his LinkedIn put it, he is a reluctant retiree. So I love that about him also, is that he's always got ideas, always building. But when you put it into these terms of brass tacks, there's a lot of things that happen as an entrepreneur that you just aren't prepared for if you've never done it. It's that whole, you don't know what you're getting into till you get into it. And what matters a lot is how you are showing up for all of the challenges that you're going to be facing as an entrepreneur. One of my favorite phrases that I use a lot that has come from here is that the best mentors in business are trial and error. And that's so true, because I can sit and strategize with the best of them. I can do strategic plans all day long. I can set visions. I can help mission statements. I can do all of that work. But when it comes right down to it, especially in marketing, sometimes you're just trying something to see if it'll work or not. And you're going to experiment a lot. So don't be afraid to experiment and try and try and try and try and try until it gets to that it clicks, and then you can start to perfect it from there. So highly recommend Brass Tacks Entrepreneur, or probably anything from Jim. This is the first book that I've read, and I've read it a few times at this point because I've been an entrepreneur for a while myself, but I'm not going to get rid of this book anytime soon. So thanks for this segment. Thanks for continuing to listen to Small Business Success Talk. Go check out the book club.
It's a huge help. So
That is fantastic.
yeah, it was. That was great. That was kind of the first just feeling of true partnership.
Yeah.
Where we were all in it for the common good. And so that was really helpful, but challenging. And then just the fear of, are we going to be able to pay our employees? Are we going to be able to pay our bills? And you know, what else, what other hiccups will there be with the transition? And there were some, but we dealt with them and got past them.
So you started with 15 partners.
We did. We started with about 30 attorneys total. So 15 partners, and then brought 15 other attorneys and paralegals and secretaries and our IT administrator and marketing, HR.
It's like, you're like, or this is the business.
Yes.
Boom.
Yes.
So what's it like for you having partners? How does that go for you guys?
It's really amazing. I mean, it because you truly feel like when you need help, your partners are there to step in. And obviously, I think it matters. You have to have the right partners who are willing to do that. But we've built systems in place so everyone does better when we all do better. And we're just all incentivized to help each other.
So what keeps you guys on the same path? Because you have a lot of partners.
We do.
How do you bring all of that together?
So we've established a structure, and we're now up to 17 partners. We elected 2 last year, where we have 3 managing partners. So I'm one of 3, and so we run daily operations. Then we have 3-person compensation committee, and we intentionally wanted those to be separate, just for kind of checks and balances.
Yeah.
And so they do everything related to compensation of partners, which is obviously a huge thing. So that works really well together. We have practice group managers for each practice group who are different. Each of our committees requires a different person. And so they run kind of the day-to-day of the actual practice, the development of their associates, the business development on the practice group level, kind of thing. We all. And another thing I'm really, really proud of the new firm, and it's unusual for a law firm. We have a lot of committees, and on all of our committees,
that's what I'm hearing. I was like, that seems wild. Okay.
And what was really important to us, and we did it from day one, is to involve all groups in almost all of our committees. Not the managing partners and the comp committee are just principal partners, but we have like an associate representative, and that person's elected by the associates. And so they're the liaison. They meet with management once a month to talk about just any issues with the associate group. We have like a 401k committee, and we ensured we had someone from each type of role in the firm. So a secretary, a paralegal, an associate, a partner, be part of that. And then the most fun part, when we designed our office, which
is a very lovely office.
Thank you. We love it. We're absolutely loving it. We made sure that we had a representative again from each group to be part of the office design committee, which was by far the best. The way we achieved such a good result that we're happy with, because everyone brought so much value to that group and different perspectives that we would have never even thought of had it just been 3 partners.
Whoever come up with the idea of your rotating art?
Oh yeah, thank you.
I mean, it's one of my favorite things about your office. Yeah.
I know we probably need a refresh. So I think it's been time, but it is fun. It made it easier to pick things, to not feel like you're picking them forever.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, because that's a fascinating structure, and it seems to work for you guys.
It does. Yeah, it's. I would not say it's common. At least I've worked in 2 law firms prior to this one. That wasn't exactly the structure we've had before. I'm not aware that other law firms have that structure, but it really, really works. That was, one of our guiding principles is to be inclusive as a firm and to value each member of the firm, no matter what your role. And I think by doing things like that, have really helped with that. We were so happy we won Best Places to Work, I think 12th place last year, our first full year. And
congratulations.
And, I was just so proud of that. And I know from getting to read the responses that having that inclusive approach goes a long, long way to having happy employees and more productive employees and more, profitable employees. When you look at it all, it all comes together.
Well, and what I'm hearing is that you didn't just blanket statement where we're inclusive. You've actually put things in place and put it into action of being inclusive.
Yeah, that's been a guiding principle from day one. And you've seen our offices, so you've seen this, and it's very unusual for a law firm, but every office is the same size. Doesn't matter if you're the summer intern or the managing partner or paralegal, whatever your role is. They were all built to be exactly the same size. They're all glass, again, just to make us all feel like we're one and we're all part of of the same thing.
I love, and it was such a breath of fresh air, honestly, to get that tour and to learn more about how you guys do as a law firm. Because, law firms.
Right. They're not usually the most innovative entities.
Or it's full of drama, right, because that's what we see on TV and the shows. And I've had my own experience with attorneys back in the day, but I was really young. I was, the clerk and
okay, right,
like summer clerking with my mom and that kind of stuff. So long ago and a lifetimes away, and it wasn't super awesome experiences with some of the like downtown Louisville firms. Yes. Once I got out into the country, I also worked for an attorney in Salem. He was public defender. That was interesting every day.
I bet it was. Oh, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, no, let's not. Because sometimes
money, not
right. Sometimes I wonder, like, how did I get to be so like direct and forceful? Well, I can say it's my family. There's been some experiences along the way, because you're sitting there in a public defender's office.
Yeah,
anybody's in that room, and I'm like, yeah, no. Don't talk to me right now.
I bet. Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, that was a whole different side of law there. Okay, so we've got some challenges out of the way. We've got some things that are jazzing you. What's on the horizon for you guys in the firm?
Well, we're really happy where we are. We don't have any intention or desire to become a big mega firm. I think where we are, as I wouldn't call it boutique, but we're highly specialized in what we do. And that was another intentional decision. Let's just do what we do well, and let's only do what we do well, and not have, a lot of law firms will have a little bit of everything, or
you're not creeping. You're not creeping out.
We are trying to stay very focused and very intentional with our growth. So the patent attorneys, that's one area that we would love to expand. So every day we're looking at new patent attorneys. We just had our first all remote attorney join us, who lives in Oregon.
Okay.
And a great patent attorney, and fills exactly a need we had. So we'll see how that goes.
And I was going to ask, because part of what I was going to ask was, you're not just Louisville market. Like,
we are not. We actually looked at this in the last year. About 75% of our clients are out of state.
Wow.
Which is, you wouldn't necessarily think so. Most of them have Kentucky legal needs, but actually with our patent, trademark, and copyright practice, often there's no Kentucky nexus whatsoever. Those are federal areas. It doesn't matter what state you're in. And our good old Louisville, Kentucky price structure is a lot more.
Yeah. A lot more doable.
A lot more doable. And we have some Fortune 100 companies that have us do their patent work just for that reason. It's the same excellent legal work, but at much lower rates than some of the states on the coast or otherwise.
Awesome.
Yeah. So really about 75-80% of our clients are out of state.
Which is perfect if you want all virtual.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. In certain areas would work. What I do as a litigator, we go to court, we do, it's not going to be as doable, but for a patent practice, we'll see how it goes our first time.
That's exciting.
So I think our growth will be very intentional, and not to grow for growth's sake. I don't see us opening other offices in other cities. I think we're really happy with where we are. We're a little bit landlocked with our current office. We just have a couple available. We're also being really careful who we hire for that reason.
Yeah.
Also just a practical reality.
Yeah, because you don't want to give up that office yet. Like, this is so pretty.
Yeah, we love it. We love it.
So for you then, what's been some learning lessons that you've experienced in this journey?
Oh my goodness. Mostly just about the business of a law firm. That was not my background. I was a practice group manager at the other firm, and I've been in other management roles like that, but not as managing partner. So this is my first foray into health insurance and some of those things that.
Yeah, you didn't need that when you're selling friendship bracelets
Right,
and grateful take
I did not. It was much simpler back then. So for me, it's just been a huge learning curve to learn the business. And it's also, as managing partner, sometimes you have to make tough decisions that aren't always popular. And that's been, I've had I still have a lot to learn, but learn a lot and grow a lot just how to handle those with, sometimes your partners and your friends. And
So been there, done that.
But I hope we can do it in a fair and transparent way. It's the best we can do.
Well, when you come to those conversations with grace for yourself as much as the other person.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because it's not fun, it's not easy, and you may fumble over your words, but being real and transparent goes a long way. Because, the person across the table from you can feel whether or not you're genuine.
Correct.
And so when you're just not
right,
it just makes the whole experience awful.
And I mean we're about 60 employees total, so we're a really nice size where I feel like I know everyone. That's
spend
a lot of time together.
That's a healthy size.
It is, but it's also small enough that you can form relationships with everyone, and so I hope that makes those conversations easier.
Yeah. So over the course of your not just being an attorney, but also your entrepreneurship side, who's been a big influencer for you?
Oh, interesting. At my first firm, I was lucky that I worked with some wonderful, wonderful people. One in particular, her name was Janet Jakubowicz, was a great mentor to me. She had kids, and I was at that firm. It was Greenbaum, Dalla McDonald back then. It's now done.
I know Greenbaum, yeah.
And when I was there, I had my kids. They're now 19 and 21, so this is going back a while. But she was just really, really influential to me from a practitioner standpoint, but probably more importantly, just from a how do you navigate this world as a mom with kids, doing all the juggling, and support. And to see, I think it's really important to see examples of people that have done what you're wanting to do, to show you there is a path and it's doable and how to do it.
That's why I've got this show.
Yeah, really.
Because we're all out here doing it and making it on even our worst days.
That's right.
And we don't always get to hear that when we're looking at those people who've made, the $1 billion.
Right.
We're only seeing their snippets thinking that that's the whole story.
Oh yeah. No, and everyone's struggled and had hardships, and to see that you can come out the other side. Yeah. I think it's really helpful.
And for me, I like to know that, you're managing really well through this challenge that you're having, right? Through the adversity, I see how you're handling the adversity. Not just you made it through and now you're successful. I'm more inspired about while you're going through it, how you handle it. Because adversity is going to happen to us all the time. And that's just part of us. If we've stepped even a toe into entrepreneurship, well, we've made that, I guess, what is the term now? Soul contract, that invisible contract that says we're going to constantly get out of our comfort zone. That's so not fun most days.
Right. I agree. I agree to see it be done successfully and done in a way that you want to, how you want to act.
Well, and just hearing more detail about your story, how the firm has come about, the fact that all your partners seem to get along, like you have 60 people, everybody it's not like you're kumbayaing or anything.
Right. I mean,
but you gel well.
Yes.
as a whole entire
Yes.
ecosystem. And I think that's to be applauded. Like, you guys have done a really good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that's inspiring. Like, it can be done whenever you come to it in agreement and transparency and agreement with each
Yes.
other. You know, I mean, it kind of helps that you guys are attorneys, so you know what contracts are. But when you make that agreement with somebody and you've committed to it, don't go back on it. And it sounds like you guys haven't gone back. Like, nobody's gone back on anything.
No, we've, we just continue. I think it helped to have some sort of guiding principles,
Right.
that we then tried to create the structure around, and like having the very inclusive committees and things like that. I mean, that helped, I guess, guide how we wanted to do this.
Yeah. So what's been some advice that has been given to you over the years that's stuck?
I mean, just not to give up. The days that you feel like giving up, there's nothing. I think any litigator is going to be competitive. We want to win.
Oh, yeah, there's that part. Yeah.
That's why we go into it. And you don't always win. You can be the best attorney in the world, and for whatever reason, you don't win. So, there's some times where you have a loss and you just feel like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. So just being told, just hang in there, and there's ups and downs.
Wait, you have that feeling too?
Absolutely. We all do.
We just had a board meeting with an organization last night. We're all speakers, and we have speaker businesses and stuff. And even somebody had said the same thing last night. Some days I get up and I'm like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And I'm in that spot,
Right.
recently, and I'm like, is this going to make it? Like, is all of this struggle going to be worth it at the end of, like, in this next milestone? It's got to be worth it. So sometimes I think when people tell me, don't give up, I'm like,
are they just saying that?
Right. I'm like, that's really not the best advice right now. Like, I just want to curl up and take a nap.
You do, but you can't.
But you can't.
You can't. You got to keep your eye on the prize and long term. And I think believe in yourself too. You have to have the confidence to know, okay, this was a setback, but I can overcome this.
So you mentioned because even the best attorneys in the world lose every once in a while.
Sure.
And usually I'll say Wonder Woman can't save everybody. It's a fact. What do you do if you lose? Are you the type of person like, okay, that's done and move on? Or how do you handle the losses? We've got salespeople out there who need to learn how to handle rejection.
Yeah.
We've got business out like myself, like when the sales aren't coming in, like, or I didn't get the RFP or whatever the case may be. Like, how do you handle that?
I mean, I think you always have to outwardly project confidence, but then behind closed doors, it's okay to have a little pity party for a day or so, so I guess I get, and part of it is I really do care about my clients, and so if there's a loss and I know it's going to impact them adversely, which it usually does, you just hate that. You feel, you Monday morning quarterback everything. Could I have done anything differently? And try to learn. I think you can learn from any failure. It's what you do from that lesson. So try to reflect, learn, give myself a day or two, keep a brave face on, and then just go back and keep sludging along.
I've joked before with some clients when we've had a conversation like this, and when you still need to show up, but like you need some space from people, and I'm like, well, you just need some sort of a signal, and they're like, what, caution tape? I'm like, if that's what it takes.
Yeah.
Just be like, it's a little, you don't know what you're going to get into right now. Just give me a minute.
Yeah, and I think it really helps to have some colleagues that you can confide in, that won't, because part of, for us as a litigator, my wins and losses matter. People want to hire a winner. They don't want to hear about the losses. So, to have colleagues that I know are not going to be judgmental and are just going to be supportive goes a whole long way. And we've got a really, really good group, my litigation team right now, and all my partners in general, but litigators get it.
That's fantastic.
The trenches, and that helps a whole lot also.
Yeah. The whole feeling like I'm being judged just adds even more pressure.
More anxiety about it. Yes. Correct.
And that's not good either.
Yeah, I was just at a conference 2 weeks ago in San Diego, and they introduced something to me for the first time, and I'm excited to see how it will shape out. But a personal board of directors, and they put us in small groups. We're all attorneys from around the country. We're all with companies or law firms that are committed to diversity in some way, shape, or form. It's a law firm diversity group, and they put us with people about our same level and said, "This is your new personal board of directors. A no judgment. We don't work with them. None of us are in the same city, and we're rolling out something where we're going to meet once a month on Zoom." And the purpose is just to be there, someone you can share your struggles with, ask questions about, or share your failures with and your successes.
Yes. I have an accountability partner.
And I think it's the same concept, which I've never really had that. So I'm looking forward to having that.
It is a game changer.
Good.
She and I have been meeting at 8:00 on Monday mornings, which is early for me, but it's late for her. So it's the compromise. But we also made an agreement that we could show up in pajamas if we needed to.
Okay.
So
good. No judgment.
No judgment.
That's right.
But we've been doing that since 2015.
Wow.
It's been 10 years.
Amazing.
To watch how we transition in business and all of the changes and all of the things. And it's been an amazing journey. Like, there really is no better word for it. Like, it's been an adventure for sure.
Been there probably every step of the way.
Every step of the way. And so she quickly became / mentor for me. And because she's been there, done that in business long before I came along. And I was like, okay, not only can I learn a lot, but she's supporting me in every stage that I hit. And when I know that she says I'm ready for something, then I'm officially ready for something.
That's great.
Yeah. So it's been a really great to get her gauging me and what I go through and how I'm handling it, because, with every situation that we go through in business, when we have losses or celebrations, the losses hit us a little harder than the celebrations, obviously. And so whenever I go through some sort of traumatic whatever, my recovery time at this stage of the game is way faster. I still have a pity party, don't get me wrong, but it's not a week of shutting down. It's more like 10 minutes of a shutdown. I might still be a little caution, but I'm managing really well. Because back in the day I didn't. And so that's one of the things that she reminds me. She's like, 5 years ago, you wouldn't have been able to do this.
That's great.
10 years ago. Like
your growth.
Yeah. She's pointing out my growth over time too. So because we get kind of lost in our own details. We don't take the time intentionally to look back to say, look at where I've came from. I have managed to do this and this and this and this. I've gotten here. So I'm excited to see where everything's going to be going for you guys.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's even more challenging when you're like a business owner like you are, or me, I'm in management. You have fewer people that you can sometimes go to in that role. So, it's really important to have some of that support, because we need it just as much, if not more.
In fact, it's going to be one of the things I add to my business model this year is what I'm calling Brave and Bold Roundtables. Because I love the superhero theme, and we're going to stick with that. So as we come to the close here, because there's so many things. Like, you and I could sit and talk about all the other stuff, but this has flown by. This has flown by. I ask all of my guests, what does success mean to you?
To me, I've never been as honored as I was to be elected by my partners as a managing partner, and that my name and the firm name was obviously a huge honor. So to me, success just means the confidence of my peers, of my colleagues, and the trust that they've put in me. And that would be how I define success.
Well, that's fantastic. So any last advice for our listeners out there who are also business owners, entrepreneurs?
We took a big risk in starting the law firm. Certainly didn't know how it would turn out. It's been by far the best thing I've ever done. Just feels so good when you put something together that aligns with your values, and it's just coming together exactly how we had hoped, if not even better.
So basically,
just take the leap of faith. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Okay. Well, Libby, thank you so much for joining me on this episode.
Awesome. Thank you.
Here's the wrap up. I told you she was going to be a really good conversation to have today. There's so many things about working in your business that you really do need to have that expert, the professional, those who know the law of how to navigate that aspect of your business between contracts, agreements, employee things, the non-competes, the partnerships, the trying to bring something new into the world with patents and copyrights, trademarks, all of that stuff that is, key for us to be able to protect and grow our business. We need somebody like this in our back pocket. Plus, I loved learning more about Libby herself. Grateful Dead. I did not one time did I ever picture her to be a deadhead. That is fantastic. Super excited to have her on the show, learn more about her firm. And I hope that you take away something as simple as keep going. Don't give up. So whatever situation you may be in today, please do not give up. The world needs what you have. And besides, you took this entrepreneur journey for a reason. So I'd also encourage you, go make your own kind of success, because that's what we do here on the show. So you get to do that too. And please, by the way, share with your friends. Leave us a great review, comment. Let me know what you got out of this show. Let's keep the conversation going. And I'll see you on the next episode of Small Business Success Talk. I've been your host, Christy Smallwood.